Let's talk about your memory. You know, that collection of experiences that makes you, well, you. But what if I told you that story you keep telling yourself about your past isn't exactly the truth?
It seems like a simple question, right? Of course they're real. You were there, you lived it. But honestly, the answer is way more complicated than you'd think. Just think about this for a second. What if every single time you reached back into your mind to pull up a memory, you weren't just playing a video, you were actually changing the file itself?
That's really the heart of what we're talking about today. It's not that your memory is bad or that you're forgetful. It's that the very act of remembering is an act of creation. So let's get into it. Okay, I want you to try something with me right now. Think of a really strong, vivid memory. Come on, pick a good one. Maybe it's your high school graduation or a family vacation, something you can see pretty clearly. You got it? Hold it right there in your mind. Feels real, doesn't it?
Well, here's the twist. That memory you're holding on to right now, the one that feels so solid, by the very act of you remembering it just now, you've subtly altered it. It's not a stone tablet, it's more like a living document, and you just made a few tiny edits without even realizing it.
So, how on earth does that happen? Well, to get it, we first need to blow up a huge misconception we all have about how memory is supposed to work. See, we love to think our brain stores memories like a perfect video recording, something you can just hit play on. But that's not it at all. It's way more like a box filled with scattered puzzle pieces. A little bit of an emotion here, a snippet of a sound there, a blurry visual over here. So, when you remember something, it's a whole process. First, you recall the event. Then, your brain gets to work and reconstructs the memory from all those little scattered pieces. Now, here's the wild part. As it reconstructs, it also edits. It fills in the gaps with what it thinks should be there, it might add some new information you've learned since, or even drop a few details. And finally, it restores this new, updated version as the official memory. And yep, there's a scientific name for this whole shebang: memory reconsolidation. The key thing to get here is that your memories aren't stable at all. They're dynamic, they're fluid, and they're constantly being updated. Now, I know this might sound a little out there, but this isn't just some theory. It's been proven in some really clever experiments. Let's look at one of the most famous ones ever done on this topic. So, researchers Elizabeth Loftus and John Palmer had people watch a simple video of a car accident. Super straightforward setup, right? But what they did next completely changed how we understand memory. They split everyone into groups and asked a simple question about how fast the cars were going. But here's the genius part. They changed just one single word in the question. Group 1 was asked how fast the cars were going when they hit each other. Group 2 was asked how fast they were going when they smashed into each other. Just one word. The results were incredible. The hit group guessed the speed was about 34 miles per hour, but the group that heard the much more intense word smashed guessed it was almost 41 miles per hour. That one word literally changed their memory of what they saw. But wait, it gets even crazier. A week later, they asked everyone if they remembered seeing any broken glass in the video. The thing is, there was no broken glass. None. And yet a huge chunk of the smashed group clearly remembered seeing it. Their brain just invented it because broken glass fits the story of cars smashing. So, why would our brains do this? I mean, it seems like a pretty major flaw, right? Why wouldn't we be built for perfect accuracy? Well, it all comes down to a trade-off. Look, your brain's number one job isn't to be a perfect recording device for history class. Its job is to help you navigate the world and survive. It cares way more about the gist of what happened, the emotional takeaway, the lesson learned, than it does about every little pixel-perfect detail. It's an amazing system for being efficient, just not so great for being perfectly factual. And this isn't just a fun fact, okay? This has massive real-world consequences. It calls into question eyewitness testimony in courtrooms. It's the reason you and your best friend can remember the same night out completely differently. And maybe most importantly, it shapes your entire sense of self. The story of who you are is built on this foundation of editable, changeable memories. So what this means is that two people can stand in the exact same spot, witness the exact same event, and walk away with two completely different but equally valid truths. And here's the thing, neither one of them is lying. Their brains just built two different stories from the same box of puzzle pieces. All of this leads us to a new and honestly a much more powerful way of thinking about our own minds. We need to make a little shift in our thinking.
The old way of seeing it is that memory is a fact. The new, much more accurate way is to see that memory is an interpretation. It's a story our brain tells us about the facts. So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. Your brain isn't a camera just passively recording the world. No, it's an active storyteller, constantly spinning yarns and weaving narratives to try and make sense of everything. Every time you remember something, you're not just rereading a page, you're helping to write the next draft.
And that leaves us with one last pretty big question to think about. If your past is a story and you're one of the authors who gets to edit it every single day, it's probably worth asking, what kind of story are you telling?